folks. I'd like to call this meeting to order for November 20th, 2019. Board of Supervisors, would you all please rise and join me for the pledge to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. The first thing on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. If you have any, would you please state your name and address? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to announcements. Mr. Duvall had to have emergency surgery on Friday morning. It was successful. He should be back out of the hospital by Friday and home. So that is why he is not here tonight. He will return for December's meeting, hopefully. Okay, all right, we're not going to know. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Jim, do you have any issues or concerns regarding it?
No, I have no issues at all with the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, motion's been made. I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Okay, moving forward, the next thing on the agenda is confirmed appointment. Darius Lozinski. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it properly.
That's all right, no problem. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Darius and Teresa Koszinski from 313 Tower Road.
Yes.
And we spoke briefly on the last meeting without understanding the procedure and the 2-minute limitations, although it would be nice if someone directed us that 2 minutes each so we could have finished it by then. But,
Okay.
you know, now we learned. We don't want to go over this thing again. We just would like to find out what actually is the short-term rental regulations. What was proposed, because and how come we need to put new regulations in order over here versus using the existing laws and regulations on the books? Well, I mean, that was my question, which
Right now, there isn't anything proposed by the Board of Supervisors. The staff, hearing the complaints of some of the residents at a meeting, put together an ordinance that the Planning Commission has reviewed. It has not been officially reviewed by the Board of Supervisors at this point, but basically what it did was it limited short-term rentals to zoning districts where more commercial enterprises were allowed, as opposed to allowing them in residential-only districts.
I will share with you, from my perspective, I've had several complaints of activities going on up there, and from some people that live on share the same driveway as what you do. We also have, as you were informed last meeting, several police reports from issues that are going on up there. So there has been a concern and a request from the citizens to do something about it.
No.
That's why we have asked the solicitor to put something together.
So do we know what was proposed? Is that
I just tried to describe it to you as
but
extinct.
is there any paper, anything which can be written, looked
Well,
at?
the Planning Commission reviewed it, so it can be a public document. Didn't the Planning Commission review it?
Yes,
Yes.
in the Bucks County Planning Commission.
Yeah, so it is a public document, but it has not gone to the Board of Supervisors at this point.
Okay.
That's correct.
Now, and I mean, I read some of the police reports. Well, no, I read all of them, which were, I have not received all of them yet from the police department. I put another right-to-know request over there, but I wasn't successful as of yet to get everything.
Okay.
So just to understand it, and I mean, there is, I understood there was a complaint about driving through parking on this thing, which I think could be easily fixed by existing regulations. If someone is parking illegally, there are laws on the books right now. That's why we can adhere to that, and citations can be done and stuff like that. So that will be one thing. Second thing, I saw a complaint about noise and fireworks during the New Year celebration. Well, yeah, that will happen from time to time, and over the 30 years we lived over there, there was many times noise and fireworks on Tower Road. We never bothered to call the police about it, just basically because it's New Year and you kind of think differently at that time.
Right.
So it's you know, we lived over there for so long, and I understand the township is putting regulations about the parking along Tower Road, which baffles my mind because in all those years we never had a traffic jam over there, and nobody ever parks on the site, or if it does, very rarely because of an emergency. So just personal opinion, that's a waste of time and money, putting signage, etc., because I don't know how many times the police was actually called over there to remove somebody because he's blocking a road. We did have that problem with Sandy when the trees went down and when the creek flew over, but never by cars. So just trying to kind of understand this procedure, I'm personally against any new regulations. I figure there is enough of them on the books that we can obey by them, issue citations, notify the proper people, and this all that the regulation thing can be avoided. Now, when it comes to short-term rentals, they are designed to be by Verbo, Home Away, and Airbnb to be in residential area. Nobody wants to go to a commercial area to spend a weekend or spend a week. That just defies the purpose. We use Airbnb all over the United States. That's pretty much, before we book a hotel, if we have to go somewhere, we actually look at Airbnb because it's more what that town is all about. So just wanted to find out more. Apparently we're going to research where those papers are, what the Planning Commission actually put together, and hopefully we can fix it all out without putting new regulations on the book and putting new laws and struggling ourselves, you know, getting ourselves more tied up. 5 minutes, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for your concern, and you will be able to ask for a right to know to get a copy of that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, moving forward, the next thing on the agenda is the Park and Rec report. Hey, Russ.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Parks and Recs. Nothing better. Alright, maybe a little bit, but it's all good. Just a couple updates on Park and Rec. Park and Rec across the street, tot lot is finished. 2019, we finally got the tot lot full. The two last items were actually installed in October by the township guys. We have the sidewalk and the twister now, so now the tot lot is full and complete, so that's a huge success for Park and Rec Committee. Another update, we're fortunate to have 66 names that we're going to be able to add on the Veterans Memorial plaque that we were able to receive. So that's huge. I think it's almost a full plaque as far as names and everything like that. We originally had a quote from a company that was around $4,600. Had a little bit of rework, had some bids put back out, some research. Fred and Maggie and all those worked, together so we could get some more quotes out. We actually got one down where it's right around $2,500, somewhere right around that price. So we were able to get a better price. Hopefully it's going to be the same. Actually, once we approve it, get it all approved for the township guys to install. Same plaque that's existing. That's going to be just like the existing ones that are there. So I appreciate all the work that was done from Maggie, Fred, Alan, Charlie, all those guys, and the Park and Rec Committee for actually making this come to fruition. If we can get the approval once we get the final, the final plans for the plaque to be implemented, I guess we'll come back for approvals for the installation by the township guys.
Yes, and does Greg have a copy of what the total cost would be?
Yes. Yep.
Because we possibly may have some concern or some help from some businesses in the township that would like to help.
Okay.
Possibly, so.
Perfect.
As long as he has that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, Greg's copied on
Thank you.
on all the emails, so, yep.
Okay.
And that should be all for tonight, so I appreciate your time.
Very good.
All
Okay,
right.
Jim, you have any questions for?
I
Yeah.
one question for you. I was reading the minutes, and there was something right at the end of the minutes about looking over the rules and regulations for renting the park to nonprofits.
That I You know what, I personally wasn't at the meeting, so I,
Yeah, we were just questioning the rules involved of renting the pavilions over there.
Okay.
And it's something that the Park and Rec really had never even considered before, because the Historical Society wants to rent the park, not rent the park, but use the park for an event over there.
Right.
So we were like, well, if they can use it, you know, the Boy Scouts could come in and use it. We're just trying to weigh it out to see what's the right avenue to go for the different functions in West Rockhill. Because the Park and Rec, we don't have any money either, so
Right.
it's hard to, you know,
One of the things that was discussed, and I'll share what I listened to, because I sat in the meeting, was for normal weekends in the summer, there are people that rent
Yeah,
the pavilions.
sure.
The same, you know, they rent for family reunion or whatever.
Weddings and.
So we were concerned that somebody may say, well, wait a minute, you know, did they pay for the rental or the fee for the pavilion
Mhm.
for this certain weekend?
And yes, the Historical Society did pay.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but they didn't know that when they were
We didn't know.
discussing this,
Yeah.
okay? So that's why this is in the minutes, because it was discussed
Okay.
on what the procedure is, how do we normally proceed with
yeah,
things.
we wanted to make sure that the date was blocked
Yeah.
if they filled out the paperwork. That was our concern.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to make sure then that it's equal and fair for everybody that's coming in. If we can have certain things we do for nonprofits, or we can have certain things we do for
Certainly.
families or whatever that come in. I just want to make sure it's the same for everyone.
Exactly, we don't have anything in place at this point.
Okay.
So that's why we were discussing, gee, should we put something in place before something comes up?
So I will wait and see what you guys come up with next month.
The only thing that's in place is resident versus non-resident.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's the only
yeah,
thing that's
it's
in
in the
place.
rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one thing I know that had to be done was they had to check the Little League schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
To confirm that there wasn't two games going, because if there's two games going on that day, they would not
There
have,
might be.
they would not
Oh,
have
yeah,
parking.
yeah.
So that was the thing that.
Okay,
that
all right.
they-
I'll wait and see what you guys come up with.
Okay,
Great, Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
thanks.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yep, all right, motion's been made, I'll second it. All
Thank you.
those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, next on here is the Joint Rec Authority, Mr. Miller.
Joint Rec Authority, I'm very happy to announce that on the November 11th at the Sellersville Borough Council meeting, the Joint Rec Authority was presented a check with $11,840. There we are receiving the check. And this was to purchase a new zip line for the Holiday House pool. We had this on our wish list since last summer when our pool manager Karen Nace came up with the idea, but of course nothing we could afford. And we did have a local company, Terra Vita Holistic Center in Sellersville, came up and presented us with the check, and they also presented a check to Sellersville for $2,500 to do repairs on their Christmas decorations. So in addition to that, I did bring along a little video so you can see what it looked like if Sherry has that. While she's doing that, I'll tell you that Terra Vita Holistic Services is a woman-run organization located in Sellersville. They opened in February of 2018, and they also have additional centers in Abington and Malvern. This is the, here we
Zip
go.
line.
The zip line, yeah. Okay. They provide services to people with conditions such as autism, ALS, Crohn's disease, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, the list goes on. There's 23 different symptoms that would allow you to go in and get their services. So we are extremely happy that they chose us to give back to the community. So you'll be seeing this will be installed in the spring. The check was to purchase the equipment, have it delivered, and have it installed. So they pay for the whole thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
just one quick question.
Yeah.
No issue with insurance?
No,
Our insurance
not at
carrier?
all,
Okay.
no, because we've already got similar things there, like the sliding board and the rock wall. This was the same company, I think, that made the rock wall.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, aside from that, the only other outstanding thing we have was the $2,000 that you guys were gonna look into.
Right, and it was explained to me that this is an advancement, part of the advancement.
It can be,
Yeah, I'm not supporting increasing the contribution because my view is the pool is supposed to be running on its own, not by the two municipalities. The list that you gave us of itemized things, there are several things in there that I think could be cut. $7,500 for grass mowing, and then the cost of what the manager's salaries are could be looked at. I'm not saying that you can eliminate it. I'm just saying those are some things that I saw that might be able to be reduced.
Okay.
Okay? And grass, $7,500 to mow grass is a lot of money, in my opinion.
Well, first of all, it was a very wet year, but, and I understand that, we use the contract that Sellersville Borough has for their mowing, and he charges through the Sellersville Borough directly to us, so we're on their contract, so we get a better rate than we would have if we had just gone out by ourselves.
I would support giving the $2,000 in advancement off of our money that we have allocated for the Holiday House pool at this time, if that is acceptable to you.
Actually, I was hoping that we could do what Sellersville did and actually give the pool an additional $2,000. Now, next year, we can look at ways to, we will look at ways to reduce costs, plus we hope that our new zip line is going to help bring more people in, so I think we're at an impasse here right now.
Then we'll table it till December.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
That's all I had.
All right. I'll make a motion to accept the Joint Rec Authority report as presented.
I'll second.
All those signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Tax collector's report. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Just so you know, my paper does not have that on it. See that? I skipped over it.
That's fine.
All right,
I
police
know the
report.
feeling.
Sergeant Maloney, how are you?
I am well, sir. How are you doing?
Good.
Good, thank you. The following information lists the monthly activities for the Pennridge Regional Police Department for the month of October 2019. Pennridge Regional Police Department responded to 596 calls for service. Of those calls, 277 were in East Rockhill, 319 in West Rockhill.
Wow.
The department handled 33 traffic crashes. There were 10 crashes in East Rockhill, 23 in West Rockhill. 21 were reportable crashes and 12 were non-reportable crashes. In regards to criminal activity, the Pennridge Regional Police officers responded to 6 Part 1 crimes and 37 Part 2 crimes in October, totaling 33 crimes. East Rockhill reported crimes. There were 2 theft cases, 4 cases of fraud, 2 cases of underage drinking, 3 cases of possession of marijuana, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 harassment, 2 terroristic threats, 1 trespass, 3 dog law violations, and 1 ordinance violation. In West Rockhill reported crimes, there was obviously the murder up at the Homestead campground, burglary, forced residence day. There were 2 theft cases, 1 fraud, 2 cases of criminal mischief, 2 DUI cases, 2 cases of possession of heroin, 3 cases of public drunkenness, 2 cases of harassment, 2 cases of ordinance violations, and 5 cases of dog law violations. Criminal charges filed for October 2019. There was 1 homicide, obviously, 1 possession of heroin, 1 criminal mischief, 1 disorderly conduct, 3 public drunkenness, 2 possession of marijuana, 3 possession of drug paraphernalia, 2 possession of methamphetamine, 3 underage drinking, 1 littering, and 1 passing bad checks. Other police activities, officers conducted 241 traffic enforcement details and 33 traffic details specifically on Old Bethlehem Pike. Officers issued 22 verbal traffic warnings, 52 citations, and 54 written warnings. They also conducted 264 business checks. The Upper Bucks Motor Carrier Safety Enforcement Report for the month of October, there were 14 inspections conducted, 20 violations, and 5 out-of-service violations. That's Officer DiGiovanni and his mix-up details. We also had a drug take-back event. 1 was at headquarters and 1 was over at Grandview Hospital. For the event on October 26th, there was 51.56 pounds delivered to the headquarters and 25.30 pounds delivered to Grandview Hospital. The drug take back from April to October, there was 91.68 pounds at headquarters and 71.73 pounds delivered to Grandview Hospital.
Nice.
And that concludes the report for October 2019.
Any questions?
No questions. I just want to say, I want to thank you guys. I was on vacation for a while, and I came in and filled out the form, and you guys came around and checked the house. I just want people to know that our police department does that service. If you're going to be away, they will come by and take a look at your place, make sure everything's okay, and contact you if it isn't. So it's a very nice service to have here, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay. With that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the police report as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made, I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome, sir, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the tax collector's report.
Okay, for annual taxes for the month of November, I've collected $1,281.33. For 2019 interims, $288.71. All final notices were sent November 10th to all taxpayers in West Rockhill who had not satisfied their county and township tax bill. So hopefully they'll send in their payment for the end of the year.
Okay,
That's it.
all right. Any questions?
No, I'll make a motion to accept the taxpayer report.
Okay, I'll
Tax
second.
collector report.
Yep, I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye? Yep. Thank you. Approved. Okay, next on the agenda is the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one item I have on the agenda is the Teresco Properties Land Development Plan. We have the owners here tonight. Maybe you could just give them give the board a brief overview of your plans.
Is your engineer here?
No, my engineer is not here. I believe we have everything lined up with what we need. We don't need the engineer anymore. That's been a struggle. So if you can lead me through it, let's.
Well, why don't you just give a summary of what you plan to do on the site so the board understands the project.
As we talked about it before, it's an existing concrete pad which we are right now using as an outside storage, which we would like to cover with a roof over it, so we have an inside storage. Of course, by simply doing that, we encroach into tremendous problems because all of a sudden the laws and regulations about how much parking space we need for not getting any more cars parked over there, they went 3 times for what's existing. It's a pre-existing property which has, in previous grounds, are already exceeding what's by today's regulations allowed. But since we are not creating any more impervious surfaces, the understanding was that we're going to be allowed to do what we trying to do over there. I don't know what else would you like to know, but that's pretty much the short take of it.
I'm sorry.
I got the part where they were covering the slab, but I didn't get the parking part.
Oh, well, in short, because there's more
Square footage
under roof, there's now a larger parking space requirement for the site. So he's saying you're not adding employees, correct? It's just for storage, so you don't have necessarily need for parking, but under the zoning ordinance, there's a requirement for parking. Now luckily, they had additional stone area in the back, which is part of the area where the slabs are outside and they're gonna go inside. So they have room for parking in the back if they make the spaces a little bit smaller than what our ordinance standard size is. And that's one of the waivers that they request, that the space size be allowed to be somewhat smaller, I forget, 8.5 by 18. But you don't expect to really use those spaces because you have enough parking in the front for your everyday business.
No.
I have one concern regarding that. Full-size pickup truck with an extended cab, 4 doors, it's 21.5 feet, 22 feet. I'm not saying that you have those vehicles parked there. I'm only raising this question because I've seen this issue come up, and I'll point out the example, Grandview Hospital, okay? When you park, the old parking lot in the back of the hospital is very, very tight. So we tried to make a practice to make sure that the parking spaces moving forward are substantial for the vehicles that are driven today on the roads. You know, full-size van, something like that. Well, you understand. I'm sure. I don't have an issue with the 8.
Yeah, over half of the spaces are the standard size spaces.
Okay.
And then there's 1 row of spaces that would be that, the slightly reduced size.
Okay.
And again, they're showing those spaces to meet the zoning requirement not necessarily the parking demands
And that's taken
of the business.
under consideration.
The rest, although I had, it should be in your packet, November 12th letter, there's several items, I could run through them quickly. Number one is just an explanation again, that the property's already non-conforming with respect to setbacks, and they're not changing that non-conforming status. Number two is a whole discussion about the parking spaces.
Can I ask you something on that real quick
Sure.
before you go any further? If this gentleman ever sells that business and somebody else buys it, okay, and they need those parking spaces for something, will we have an opportunity to change it then? Or to make it come to the standards of today's standards?
I guess
Yeah.
there would be, there would be a review of it with a zoning permit, but if he wasn't changing the building, no.
Okay. All right, move forward.
So number two had to do with the parking and so that, a few other waiver items is, the landscaping and things, they're not there now in the middle of the parking lot, and it's just one paved area.
So you're recommending we grant those waivers?
Yes, they're requested, and I don't object to them. Number three is a buffer yard question on the, say, the northern side of the property. That's the only property line that's against a residential property, and it happens to be a house that, that Darius owns also. And there is a hedgerow and a few trees along that property line, and the planning commission was satisfied that that was adequate buffer between the two properties.
Are you gonna have a note on the plan saying that that can't be removed?
We could do that. Just a note saying you wouldn't remove that screen.
Yeah, but we can add it to the plan.
So number four is similar to the property next door that we had in here recently. The whole frontage of the property is paved. The whole driveway entrance is paved. So your normal curb and sidewalk improvements are taken up by the existing paving. So he's asking for a waiver of the curb and sidewalk improvements across the front of the property. You also suggested that if you make a drainage improvement on the front, you'd like that to offset some of the costs.
Yeah, we received that, but there is a tremendous problem with the water runoff because it's being downhill, and we pretty much, Matt's parking lot, every time it rains, comes to my parking lot because he's in unpaved, mine is paved, so my guys clean it up constantly. So Matt proposed to do improvement of the drainage along Bethlehem, and pretty much we would like to continue on our stuff. So we did receive a quote on this thing. It's about $6,200 to dig it out, fix it, put it properly so the water doesn't go into the property and gets redirected along the Bethlehem pipe. So we would like to use the money from the sidewalk to actually fix the drainage.
So we're not gonna be asking for fee in lieu of money?
Well, we would need to get an estimate of what the sidewalk work would be, and then
Okay.
we'll compare it to the estimate for the drainage work, and if there's still some balance left,
And the drainage work is work that they'd be doing on their front?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it's, a
We
negative
did
amount,
write
there'd be
letters
no
to
fee.
PennDOT and sent them, tried to contact them about holes over there and stuff, since technically it's PennDOT's property. Well, in 4 years now.
Well, does that mean they need an HOD?
They may, depend on the extent of the work. That's in my letter. If it's required, they'll have to get that. Number five is the standard park and rec donation. I think you've already submitted a check to the township.
Yeah, township
In
took-
lieu of dedication of land, they made a contribution per the fee schedule.
That's already been made then?
Yep. Number six, similar with stormwater management, not the whole property, but the property has existing concrete paving and stone area, they're not expanding that area. So they're asking for a waiver, but paying the exemption fee that's in the ordinance. And I think you
Yeah, the fee
provided
was
that
paid,
check
yeah.
also, that's already been paid to the township.
Okay.
Number 7, I guess I touched on before, that's the parking area landscaping, so they really can't put street trees in and trees in that front parking lot because it's an entire paved area, so that's a waiver request. And the planning commission recommended approval of that waiver. Number 8, the property's on well and septic, and the owner's aware that that is in the sewer service area, so should public sewer ever be extended through the area, and I think you already have an agreement with
Yeah, with the board,
with the
yeah.
sewer authority on
Sewer
it.
authority. We tried it already for a couple of years to get it, didn't get anywhere yet, but.
There was one holdout, one property holdout or something that stopped that from going through here about 3 years ago, right?
Caught the back corner of the property, right?
Yeah.
Is that a note on the plan?
It's, hopefully it'll happen sometime in the near future.
Yeah, we could put that a note on the plan. Well, let's just have your engineer add a note saying that you've agreed to connect the public sewer when and if it's available. Number 9 is traffic impact study. Generically, it's required of every commercial development. He's not changing his employees, he's not changing his business, he's just adding storage. So ask for a waiver of that, and the planning commission did not oppose that. Number 10, they already received an erosion control approval from the conservation district. I'm just asking that that plan be, the plan that the conservation district approved be attached to your other plan, so we have a set. Number 11 is right-of-way dedication along the frontage. The township ultimate right-of-way is a little bit wider than the legal PennDOT right-of-way, so our ordinance requires an easement to be established for that right-of-way area.
Now, how that, does it get reported, or does it, how do we make that legal?
Your engineer has to give us a legal description, which it's almost like a deed, and then the township solicitor will prepare a document that you'll sign.
Like, can you guys do it and I'll pay you?
No.
Since you know already the property, why are we having 6 people doing the same thing and approving those things? I mean,
That's the way it is, I'm sorry.
That was 11. 12 is any missing monuments have to be installed along the right-of-way.
They don't really need to go.
No, 13 is, if all the waivers are granted, there's no need for a development agreement. That was just in case they weren't. And 14 was 3 small drafting items to be added to the plan. So generally, yes, the plan, if you're in agreement with the waiver request, the plan is in generally good condition and suitable to move forward.
No, I was at the planning commission meeting, and I listened to all the recommendations coming from the planning commission, so I'm perfectly happy with what they came up with.
Okay. I do have a concern myself about the parking, as I said, the parking spots, but I understand the situation here, so I'm willing to go along with that. The one thing I do want to make sure that we're covered on is the value of the fee in lieu of versus the drainage work.
All right, we'll get estimates for both.
You need to make sure that we're covered there, okay? Other than that, the other minor waiver things, as far as not putting that tree in or something in for the parking lot, is I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, yeah.
It's okay.
Bad spot.
So what do we need to do to move him forward?
Well, you can authorize me to prepare a resolution for next meeting,
Okay?
which we will forward to you. I think we have his email address from the confirmed
Yeah.
appointment, correct? And we will forward it to you, and if you send something back saying that you're agreed to the conditions, then you'll be on the agenda for the December meeting for approval.
Well, I'll make a motion to request our solicitor prepare that resolution.
Okay, I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
Thank you.
You're moving forward.
Whew, only a year. Thank you much.
Yep.
And that's all I have for my report, unless there's any questions.
I have no questions, I'll make a motion to approve the engineer report.
Okay, motion's been made, I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, great. Moving forward Solicitors report, Mary.
I just want to get.
Yeah, go
So I
ahead.
get.
No problem.
Okay.
Yep.
The only item on the solicitor's report this evening is the resolution for the Caroluzzi land development. You reviewed this plan at your last meeting, and we prepared a resolution. The applicant's engineer has reviewed it, made one small change, which we did accomplish, and so if you are inclined, you would make a motion to pass resolution 2019-19.
I will make a resolution to pass resolution 2019
19. Okay, I'll second that motion.
Pass these down.
Okay, all those signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
I have nothing further for the solicitor's report this evening.
I'll make a resolution, we start again. I'll make a motion to accept the solicitor's report.
And I'll second it, so all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Next on the agenda, Township Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is the Township Treasurer's Report and payment of bills. Treasurer's Report ending October 31st, 2019. General Fund, $501,971.15. Highway aid, $50,916.83. Open space, $1,079,937.89. The Park Fund, $15,313.14. The Equipment Fund, $18,354.17. Highway Capital Fund, $28.44. Streetlight Fund, $34,537.38. The Reserve Funds, the General Fund Reserve, $345,679.82. Open Space Management Field, $50,599. Sewage Maintenance, $175,364.84. The Stormwater Fund, $6,506.06. Escrow Fund, $386,422.04. You also have a list of other bills.
Okay. Any questions?
I have no questions. I will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report and payment of bills subject to audit.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
The next item on the list is the implementation of a new plan document from PMRS for the pension plan agreement to meet IRS standards. The board has in its packet a new PMRS agreement to ensure favorable treatment of both PMRS served municipalities and PMRS members, and have a tax qualified plan that will greatly assist the municipalities in an event of an IRS pension. I would need the board's approval for the new plan.
I will make a motion to approve the PMRS pension plan agreement.
Okay, I'll second that. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
The next item is I'm looking for authorization to advertise the budget, the 2020 budget. The main projects will be $221,465 for road repair. $120,000 will be taken from the reserve funds allocated to be a Philadelphia legal expense. $80,000 will be allocated for the demolition of buildings on the catch basin property. $63,272 to replace the 2000 GMC truck and the debris blower for behind the John Deere tractor. Once you make a motion to authorize, tomorrow I'll put it on the website and advertise it in the News Herald, and a copy will be at the front desk.
This will all be with no tax increase.
And the most important part, yes, no tax.
Okay. Jim, you have any concerns?
I have none, no.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to,
Authorize to
yeah,
advertise.
right, yeah, authorize to advertise.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
That's all I have.
Okay, very good. I'll make a motion to accept the township manager's report as presented.
I'll second.
All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Old business, any old business?
I have no old business.
I do.
Okay. Yes, sir. Name?
Can I go up there?
Oh, you gotta wait for public comment. Old business.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh, old business. Old business is for supervisor. Okay. We're all good with our committees? Okay. No new business?
I have no new business.
All right. Okay, now, public comment. And first.
Okay. Kevin Dietz, 1420 Ridge Valley Road. No, I just do. Hi, Kevin Dietz, 1420 Ridge Valley Road. About 2 months ago, I submitted a letter to the board and to Greg, asking for you guys to write a letter to PennDOT for the issue of the traffic I have at, which is Allentown Ridge Valley Road. I know that I wasn't here for the meeting, but in talking that you said you were gonna have the police do a study. I didn't know if that study got done, if you ever heard any reports back from them.
What we asked for is see if there was any accidents.
Accidents,
What the
right.
accidents were there. And it didn't show a warrant for that. Did you hear anything on whether or not there'd be any study done?
No, I did talk to Chief about it when we first got the letter, and he didn't have an indication then that there was, warrants for the stop sign, I think is what you were asking
I'm looking for
about.
there is a stop sign there. We're looking for, what's happening is I live right on the, I'm not the corner on the house, I'm the next one with the driveway that's first on Ridge Valley Road.
Yeah.
What's happening is people are coming up, and everybody's saying it's because the bridge at 63 is closed. That's not true. That traffic's been getting worse and worse. The problem is when people come around on Allentown Road, on the Ridge Valley, they're 40, 45 miles an hour. And I have from me to the wall to react, or, when I'm pulling out of my driveway. We used to back out, now we have to pull out. So my thing is it's either my family's gonna get hurt, or somebody's gonna get hurt there. And I'm asking for a three-way stop. And what I was asking is, I know I spoke with Greg, and he says you need to write a letter, because, I want to go through you guys, to go through PennDOT, to have them do the study, because that's what has to happen. I know the study takes a while.
Right, and that's what I understood, that you had requested, the initial request was for a multi-way stop sign. There's very specific standards PennDOT has to allow a multi-way stop sign. And one of the big items warrants is accident history.
Right.
And that's what the chief was looking into, and I don't think he found a
Well, I can say-
significant.
Because we raised that concern at one of the police commissioners, and I will also share it with you. You live there, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah, I've lived there almost 50
But I
years.
travel that road a lot.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of times when I see the traffic backed up to that intersection for the bridge, across the bridge.
Oh, yeah, but then once they come across the bridge and they're coming up the hill, they're on it, and I am gonna tell you something, that a lot of accidents happen there in the past 3 or 4 months that haven't been reported. They could pull over and one guy just pulled out and slammed another, went over and did their business, and they left.
Have you contacted the police department at all? Because we do have a police department that could possibly.
No,
sit there.
and I have, and there's been, I know they've been out there, and I know Brian Lehman I went to school with, and a couple others, his daughter,
Okay.
and I've been out there, there's been multiple times I've been out there, and that's, warrant isn't one thing, I understand that. I was asking for, go.
Oh, I'm just giving them the signal for 2.5
Oh,
minutes.
all right, all right. Well, anyway, I didn't know if you guys sent the letter to PennDOT or not. If you didn't, I'm just gonna pursue it myself, that's all.
Well, we will discuss it again at our police commission meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
And we'll try and get you some information by next month.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
And that meeting is next Wednesday night.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sherman?
Good evening. Michael Stromeyer, I'm from Stearns Road. I just want to talk about this thing on Tower Road. My main concern is, first of all, we don't have any prior agreement to speak. This is my personal opinion. My main concern is basically it seems like the township is taking a knee-jerk reaction and banning all B&Bs in the township except for a commercial area. And I have to agree with the gentleman. If I stayed at a B&B, I don't want to sit next to a commercial area. I'd like a nice, quiet area. And I think this is a separate issue from the party that I heard was happening up there through the meetings we've been at. I think the township should go after the people who hosted the party. And I'm not sure, I haven't heard anything with the police or anyone has gone after them. But I think that's a separate issue from making a blanket, you know, rule or law or anything that says no one else can have a thing. I think we have too much of a knee jerk against everyone else in the township for a single incident that happened on Tower Road. So I'd appreciate if you'd give this much better consideration and look at the impact on every resident, not just on one resident. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes. Good. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Judy Gutierrez. I live on 1808 Old Buckland Pike. I'm here with some of my neighbors. I know I might hopefully not take 5 minutes, but just letting you know, our area with contaminated water has been in the news. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it or not. I just wanted to give everyone an update of what's going on. We were supposed to get filters by the end of the year, which I personally did not know until I read an email from the Philadelphia Inquirer. The DEP did not actually let us know that that's what was happening. So the DEP and I had a couple words just to make sure we were more on board, on the same plane, the same time, the same emails, the same memo. My neighbor right here, Angela Goodwin, was supposed to got an email by the end of next month. I have not gotten anything. I don't know where the lack of knowledge of sending emails out to everyone. I just let you know that this is really frustrating for all of us, and we all really, really do appreciate your support. And thank you for all who have forwarded emails. We just are very, I don't know, frustrated, ready to pull our hair out. Yeah, so that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say, I guess.
Okay. Greg, can you follow up? And
Thank
make
you.
sure you advise Joe what the results are. Yes, ma'am.
I'll go on with that.
Name and address, please.
Angela Goodwin, 1730 Tabor Road.
Yep.
I don't know if you're fully aware of what's going on. Our property has been tested, and our property is contaminated as well as the runoff water that's coming off of Bergie's onto our property is contaminated. So we're not dealing with just well water contamination, we're dealing with our property contaminated and runoff water that's contaminated. At this point, I'm not allowing DEP on my property again. And I don't think I'm allowing the filtration system to go in our house. I want public water. We need it. It's just been proved that we have contamination on our soil, and we have contamination from runoff water that's coming across our property. What's the point of having filters in my house if I can't use my home like it should be used? And my property. Every time DEP comes onto my property, I lose more value. At this point, it's worth nothing. What's the point of living there? I'm ready to walk away. And that's not fair. We've lived in that house for 19 years. Put a lot of sweat equity into that home, and did nothing but maintain that home and work our butts off. And this isn't right, and this isn't fair to us. And from what I understand, there's a grant out there that the township can get to help with public water. That's one. The other thing is, I have complained for almost the whole time I lived there about the water that runs between our property and the neighbor's property. It comes down, it looks like a lake, and that's from Bergie's property, and it's now contaminated. I had EPA out there years ago when Bergie's retention basin was clogged, and I had to have EPA help me to get that fixed. 1.5 years of my life I spent to get that fixed, and I asked at that time for that water, runoff water, to go into their retention basin, and it was never done then. And here I am now dealing with this as well. I want to know. I want the township to start helping us. I've done nothing but fight and fight since I've lived here.
Yeah, I understand that. I know you have. Been trying to get the state to work on it. Been trying to work with Fitzpatrick and others. We're not getting anywhere, and it bothers me.
No, we're not.
And it bothers me that when I'm reading in the paper about how now the state's going to throw all this money down into Worthington or whatever to take care of their whole thing, and we're just being left high and dry.
Right,
So I
and that's
would-
why we're getting we're trying to get as much immediate
Right.
attention as we can get. But, you know, we need our support from our local too.
Right, understand, and I fully support putting public water.
We all have, the
It's this-
entire board agreed with that concept. DEP's the one that made the decision to not do it.
Well, we have to go back at them again.
And that's the, you know, we
Okay.
can try again. We'll-
But I'd like that runoff water to be addressed.
Well,
It's time for that to stop being-
That's another issue too.
That should be addressed on its own. They shouldn't be allowed to have the water run off.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
way
I have
it is.
videos of it.
It
This
should
is-
be controlled.
It is, and it
And it's
creates
birds.
a hazard, and we may have to maintain the road
I'm sorry.
after it gets washed away.
Your 2 minutes is up.
So I don't really care about the 2 minutes. Spent 19 years.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
1720 Tabor Road. I am seconding everything my two neighbors just said.
We
I
didn't get your name,
I
ma'am.
said Sandy Moyer,
Sandy Moyer?
1720 Tabor Road.
Okay, thank you.
I just sent a video to Colin Wade about the water. I sent 2 videos showing how the water goes behind my house. We've had to put sandbags up. All this polluted water is going down to the creek and spreading and contaminating everybody else. We need drainage back there. You know, we need the township to take over the road. I don't know why they don't want to. We pay all our taxes just like everybody else, but we're just, you know, now we have polluted water, polluted soil, polluted water racing down through my property to wherever it goes. It's not right. I mean, how would you feel if your house, if you worked your whole life and bought a house, the biggest thing that you'll ever buy, it's not worth anything?
We've shared that view with the people at the higher levels, and we haven't gotten anywhere either.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to go to ABC News and go to, I don't know what we're gonna have to do, but the fight isn't over. I don't want a filtration system in my house either, because you know what? Those pipes are corroded. I will never drink our water again, never. I don't like to bathe in it. I don't like to do anything in it. It's just very frustrating. I don't even like to go into my home anymore. So
Thank you.
that's- Please
Thank you
stand
for your
behind
comment.
us.
Okay. Anyone else? Public comment? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry.
Ada Miller, full disclosure, I'm Jim's wife, 1,000 Acre Road. To educate the community, Jim, how many acres are they mowing over there at Holiday House?
At Holiday House Pool, probably 10, 11 acres, something like that.
That's all the property is.
Yeah,
The property's on top, they don't know the whole thing, it's
they do.
all woods.
No, it's woods around the edge, but,
Yeah.
okay, so
But that
8,
whole
let's say
property
8 or
goes
9.
down to Washington Avenue.
Yeah, plus they have to
It
do
does.
all the trimming and everything else, right? Yeah.
So how, okay, let's refine the question.
Wait,
How
this
many-
isn't a question, this is public comment, so go ahead. Public comment, go ahead.
Wow, okay, so here's my comment. It's in West Rockhill, thank you for being a little bit snappy there.
No, clarifying, please.
Thank you, thank you. So my suggestion would be then, if you're concerned about the price, why don't you have the West Rockhill do the mowing, the township do the mowing?
More expensive.
It's more expensive.
Have
They
you
already
considered that?
do it
That would
this
knock
way.
out the 7,500 that you're worried about, and you would have more control over those expenses if it's your crew
It's an
doing the mowing.
authority. The Joint Rec Authority is a governing body of its own.
Okay,
Mhm.
so what is your response? That why can't West Rockhill, it's on West Rockhill land, and Sellersville is, you're working through Sellersville to use the lawn service company. So I think it would be a great idea if West Rockhill staff mowed it. And you would have more control of those costs. Anyway, maybe you can consider that.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion?
Okay, motion's made, I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you all for coming.